I bought this French tart set to test out, and I'm going to make some lemon blueberry tarts and show you the whole process. It's not that difficult, and this kit has everything inside it that you need. Let's take a look at what's inside it, and then we'll get started with the baking. This set comes in a really cute box, and it looks very high-end, and then when you open it up, it has everything inside here that you would need to make the tarts. It comes with the recipes, and this would be a really nice gift, honestly. The quality of this is really good, and the recipes on the back have 3 different varieties. It's basically the same dough with a few different variations. I'm going to go ahead and make this, but I wanted to show you what's in the box. So here's a little card with a QR code to leave a review. There's a perforated baking mat that's oven safe, so you can roll it out and bake on the same mat. There's a sugar thermometer. Thank you very much, because people try to do this without a sugar thermometer. It is not going to work. You need a thermometer. This will actually let you be successful when you're doing this, especially if it's for the first time. There are 6 little pastry rings that you can use to cut out the dough and to bake the dough inside, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. And there is a reusable piping bag. This feels like it's made from silicone, with some nozzles and the coupler, and you can use this if you're going to do the meringue and pipe it on top in little rosettes. So everything that you need to make a really pretty tart is in here, and let's go take it into the kitchen and start. I'm following the recipe that came with the box for this, and a few changes. So I use vanilla paste instead of vanilla extract. It says to use the butter cold, so you cube the butter up and then put it in cold. And then it says to mix it with a mixer, and that was difficult because the butter was so cold, it did not want to mix. So I don't think that the vanilla extract would make that much of a big deal, but if you do want to use the mixer, put a towel over the bowl like that so it doesn't shoot stuff all over the room. I eventually just said, I'm just going to start putting the egg yolks in here because it needed some moisture to bind everything together, and it just was not working with the cold butter. If you want to, I think you can make the butter, you can leave the butter so that it's a little soft. I would not make it room temperature so that it's super soft, because you want the dough to be cold when you cook it, but you are going to put it back in the fridge, so that's okay. But by putting the egg yolk in, and I think I did 2 egg yolks, I did this one, and that helped a little bit. But see, the butter is just so cold, it didn't want to get mixed up. If I had used a stand mixer, it might have been easier, because the stand mixer is going to be a little more powerful, and it will attack that butter a little better. At this point, there's no flour in this mix. It's all sugar and butter and egg yolks as I'm adding it in. So you're trying to make a paste, and you're not developing any gluten. So I didn't feel bad about doing the eggs first. Like this is, at this point is when you're supposed to put the eggs in according to the recipe. I didn't feel bad about putting the eggs in before, because all I'm doing would be kind of whipping the eggs and adding air to it. But with the yolks in a little bit earlier, it gave it the ability to actually create that paste. So at this point, I'm following the recipe as it says. I'm putting the egg yolks in, and then you scrape the bowl, make sure everything is really well incorporated, and then you're ready to put the flour in. And at that point, you have to be careful about over mixing, because if you over mix the flour in pastry dough, it's going to make the dough more tough. And nobody likes tough pastry dough. But this was a really good recipe anyway. It tasted so good. I don't think it would matter if it was tough, because it was good. But anyway, I put the flour in, and I'm just trying to kind of press it in. I'm not trying to mix it too much, which is why I'm not using the mixer. I just decided to do it by hand. Then I switched from the spatula to my hand to see how it was binding together, and to prevent it from over mixing too much. This was still a little bit dry, so I added a little bit of water, which is not in the recipe, but just maybe a tablespoon would be enough to kind of bind this all together and make it form a ball, which is what you need for the next step. So I mixed this by hand, and at this point, you do want to try not to over mix it. So do this as quickly as you can, form it into a ball, divide it into 2 sections, and then we're going to put these on parchment into the refrigerator to keep them cold while we're working on the little pastry shells themselves. Okay, so after you chill this for a while, according to the recipe, you take it out, and I'm going to use these 2 little skewers. These are just wooden skewers that come, from the grocery store. They're 1/8 of an inch thick, and when you're rolling out dough, you kind of start in the middle or on one side, and you kind of roll from the middle out. So you're going to see the rolling pin going back and forth here because I have to move it back. But when I'm moving it back to the center, there's no pressure on the pin. And the reason that I'm using those little dowels in just a minute, and if it does come apart, just pull the plastic up. Oh, and I have plastic wrap over it to keep it from sticking. Now see, I have the dowels there, the little skewers, and those are going to prevent me from rolling it thinner than 1/8 of an inch. So that's why those are there. That's just an easy trick to keep yourself from, and the whole thing will roll evenly if you have the 1/8 inch dowels. And, you use a 1/4 inch dowels if you want to do cookies, but for this, you want it to be 1/8 of an inch thick. And those little dowels will make sure that everything is 100% correct. So get that all rolled out, and then you're ready for the next step. At this point, you take I guess you could leave the plastic wrap on, but you're going to put this back in the fridge to chill so that when you put it into the oven, you want to keep the dough cold the whole time. Now, this is a cookie sheet. It does not have an edge all the way around. Those are baking sheets. Cookie sheets have no edge so that when the cookies expand, if they won't hit the edge. But anyway, I slid that under the dough, put it back in the fridge for an hour. Make sure that it's nice and chilled. Then I took it out. Right now, I put it on the little mat that came with the kit, and I'm ready to cut out the bottoms. Now, this said to do 3 at a time, but I'm just going to go ahead and do all 6 because I am going to put this back into the fridge to chill while the oven is heating up. So I'm just going to cut these out directly on that little mat. And you can do these separately because they do stick in the little rings very nicely. Not a problem. This dough is very easy to work with. And then we're going to cut strips and put them inside. And the way that I do this, I try not to move. Once I cut something out, I try not to move what's cut out too much. So I'm going to pull the dough out from around the rings and not try to lift them off of the dough, because this way you can really control how, what is ripping and what isn't. And if something isn't cut all the way through, you'll be able to see it, put a little more pressure on it, as opposed to trying to pick it up and moving the whole sheet of dough. And like I said, you can pick this up, kind of get rid of the extra edges on the outside, but these do move around really easily. So arrange them evenly on the pan, and then now see, this has the dough in it. So you could do this beforehand if you want, but I just used the ring to mark where to mark the edges or like how wide to cut the strips, because you're going to cut strips that go on the inside of the rings now, and just do that. And then you're going to cut the strips. I just eyeballed this. And you might want to make them a little bit bigger because you are going to trim them. So you can make them a little bit taller than the ring. You don't want them to be too short. You want them to be a little taller, if anything. And just take the extra dough and save it. I had so much extra dough, I made extra tarts. And I think you really could make 12 tarts with this recipe if you were careful. At least, you could get at least 10 out of it. So you could do another round of baking, not a problem. So what you're going to do is take a strip, put it inside the ring, and then kind of overlap it. But then you're going to cut it off just a tiny bit, maybe like 1/8 of an inch overlap, so that you can press those ends together. Now, one thing you need to make sure to do is to make sure that the sides of that strip are actually pressed up against the ring. And it's easy to see that. I think it's a little bit off, and that's the one that I lost. So I had a casualty when I baked these. And you see in the middle one there on the top right, it's just a little bit away from the ring. And I think that's what happened. As I'm watching this now, that's what happened. So make sure that the ring is right up on the dough and press it on there a little bit. Just give it a little press. Make sure it's not kind of away from the ring, because if it's not touching the ring, it will collapse. But just go ahead and do that, and you're going to press those together on the ends. You want to make sure that everything is done, and then put them back in the fridge while you're heating the oven up. And then you're going to trim the top. So when these are back in the fridge, they will harden up a little bit. And this is why you want to keep the dough cold while you're working on it, because it just makes it easier for the butter to stay cold and to not melt immediately when you put it in the oven. So trim all 6 of the tops, and you want to make them pretty much flush with the little rings. And at this point, you really do to make sure that all of them are right up against the ring, because I will show you what happened. I think in the next shot is this is when, now see that middle one there? It's just a little off, and that's the one that fell. So as I'm looking at this, I see exactly what happened. That one fell. I'm not going to waste it, though. I'm taking the ring off. I just took the ring off, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this up to make a little garnish. You don't have to do this. You could just leave it alone and eat it or whatever. But yeah, see, as I'm looking at this now, that's the reason that it fell over. It's because it wasn't touching the ring right on that one spot. And filming this really helped me see what happened. So just make sure that the whole, that they're all touching the rings, and you'll be fine. So keep those little pieces. Now we're going to make the lemon curd. Now follow the instructions for this that come with this kit, because this is important and you have to keep this moving, and you need to get it to the right temperature so that everything cooks enough to be solid but not hard. And you don't want to overcook it because you're going to get scrambled eggs. So it's basically egg, sugar, and butter with the lemon juice, and it will give you a nice lemon. It's like if you've never had lemon curd, this is a treat. This stuff is so good. It has a nice lemon flavor. You can also do lime curd if you want to use lime juice. There are some juices that will work with curds and some won't, but the recipe in this kit worked really well. One thing to do is to put a strainer, have a strainer ready. When you are done, it gets to 175, and that's what you needed the sugar thermometer for. It needs to get to that temperature. Strain it out so that if there are any pieces that cooked because you weren't keeping it moving, and there will be little chunks of something, it's eggs probably, and you saw that in the strainer, that will take it all out, and then you don't have to worry about that. You're going to remove all the rings, and these should just come right off. I didn't have any trouble getting these off at all. They lifted right off. And then we're going to fill the little shells with the curd as it's still hot. The lemon curd is going to solidify into like it's not really a pudding. It's kind of like a pudding consistency, but it's a little more solid. And you want to put this in the shells when it is hot so that it's more liquid, and then as it cools off, it'll solidify. Now, I put blueberries on here, so I didn't fill the shells up more than about halfway. And then I put the blueberries on top, and they will sit there. They'll stick to the lemon curd when it cools off, and then you can put more on top as to serve it. And it looks really nice when you have the lemons in the lemon curd and the blueberries. I added some strawberries too, which you'll see in a minute. But you can also put like melted white chocolate on the bottom. You could pour a little melted white chocolate into the bottom of each shell and then put the lemon curd on. There are all kinds of variations. And this kit does come with 3 recipes. And this is what I'm doing with the little one that broke. And I'm just going to use it as a little garnish. And you don't have to do this. Like I said, you could eat it, but it's a way to use up the scraps. You could also make a trifle with this, but this is what they looked like before I added the extra blueberries. And this is with the extra blueberries and the strawberries. And then this one has a little meringue on it. This was a really nice kit. I really enjoyed using it, and it would be a nice gift for anyone or for yourself. So go check it out. It was not hard to do. It did take a while. This is not a fast process because you have to make it in stages, but it's a really nice kit, and it had everything that you need and all the instructions that you need to be successful.